Now we want to figure out how to position the student to be more desirable at those specific universities, demonstrating interest, strong essay and application based on a compelling personal story. Who is the student? So this is where who the student is becomes, I would say, very important, and sometimes more important than what they've done. What's up, everyone? Hey, Josh Smith here. Thanks for joining me. And we're continuing down the path of the college process. For those of you that haven't seen the previous videos, we are on a journey. We're on a series. We're talking about the college planning journey, and I'm breaking down specific things that you may want to do or be thinking of as a parent for your high school students. So this is ideally for those of us that have high school students, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, giving you an understanding of what you should be doing based on their class, their academic level, and maybe the time of the year that, where they are in that particular grade level. So winter, summer, whatever that might be. Now, idea behind this video are these videos. The series is to give you a bit of understanding of where you should be, right? The simplest way to put it. But also, it's important to understand, and I meet families every year that have waited until the last minute to start doing certain things. And we want you to start chipping away as early as your freshman year, having certain things done leading up to their senior year, and it makes for a much more peaceful, stress-free college planning journey. So if you're just now checking us out, we did 2 other videos within this series. This is going to be part 3, as I mentioned a little earlier. And as a bit of a recap, and I'll include a video, maybe link in the description or somewhere on this particular video, you can reference those previous videos. But as a recap, we talked, number 1, we talked about financials. Financials is something that is you're going to have to review every single year. In my humble opinion, you should do that every year. And then just add it to your overall financial planning, right? Any budgeting that you do in general, this is something that you always want to revisit. You change your job, your situation changes, you paid off that particular bill, always want to review and kind of get a reassessment of where you are. But as it pertains to college, we're talking about, we talk mainly about your expected family contribution, or your SAI, Student Aid Index, doing somewhat of a calculation. If college were to begin tomorrow, what would we be expected to pay based on our situation? And then you want to figure out, within that analysis, is there anything that we can do to optimize that amount? In other words, to get that to be lower, to be reduced. This is where our expected contribution is. Let's say $40,000 a year. Here's why, right? And then here are a few things that we may be able to do to get that from 40 to, let's say, 30 or 25. The more or the less that you are expected to come out of pocket, the more you obviously save, and the longer or the further you can stretch every dollar you have when it comes to savings. And along with this is it creates savings goal as far as how much you want to contribute, save today, so you know what you can afford in a couple years. And that, again, freshman year, sophomore year, right, junior, senior year, and all throughout college, this is something that you're constantly reviewing and updating. In addition to that, number 2 was, as a recap, we talked about the tests, right? SAT, ACT, AP classes, honors classes, GPA, the academic side of things. And in this particular video, we're taking it to step 3. So within this particular process, or this video, the 3rd step, we're going to combine about, I would say, about 4, 5, and 6, so about 3 things into one video, because I believe they go hand in hand, and it makes the most sense to just kind of combine them and get the most out of this particular video. So without further ado, let me share my screen. And I don't think I'm needed to see as much, but so here we go. So as I mentioned, step 1 and 2, you see above. And then these are going to be certain things that are on the parent, certain things that are going to be on the student as far as their responsibility, and then certain things that we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about as a family. So number 3, if I can pull up my cursor right here, my little marker, number 3 is we're going to be talking about establishing a career path. Now, this is going to be great for those of us that have, good for those of us that have freshman, sophomore, but it becomes we color it in, and it becomes a little bit more precise and narrowed down as our juniors are rising juniors, I would say, or rising seniors going into their, be rising freshmen in college. But and again, you see all the gray areas blocked out, mainly because it's something that is important to do all throughout the year. Now, if you do it once in, let's say, December, you don't have to do it again in January or in February. But any month throughout the year, if you haven't done it, this is something that you definitely want to do. So when I say establish the career path, this is where we want to start thinking about what is it that we want to do? What is it that the student wants to do, or what might our student be interested in? And again, if we start thinking about this as early as freshman year, maybe sophomore year, and then it kind of helps the students trend in a specific direction. Maybe they select certain classes, maybe an elective that is in alignment with that specific career path, give them some early experience in a certain area. Then that would kind of give you a sense of understanding what they may want to do. Maybe they want to go into sales. Maybe they want to go into entrepreneurship. Maybe they want to go into medical, right? Or legal. And a lot of these you don't have to know, but it's always good to start entertaining those thoughts, moving in that direction. So as the junior year comes about, senior year comes about, now the student has a better understanding of what they want to major in, based on that career path. And that is going to take us into the next one, which is majors, right? Number 4, we want to determine the major, right? What does that mean, determining the major? Now, simple as it sounds, right? We want to determine the major. So what is the major that's going to be required for that specific career path, right? And as you see here, we're not really talking any longer about freshman and or sophomore. We are talking more about juniors and seniors. So junior year, I would say going into the junior year, beginning of the junior year, we want to start having the conversation or somewhat of a understanding of what we may want to major in, right? What our student wants to major in, based on, some of their interests and maybe the ideal career path that they want to follow. And this is going to say, you see September, but every year kind of moving beyond September, we want to do that. And this is going to be very key up until about summer, July. They're, I would say, going into that student's senior year. And it continues, right? We want to continue, if we haven't done that, all the way through their senior year as well. So junior year, not continue throughout their senior year, but more so, let me go ahead and erase this right here. My apologies for the misunderstanding. What we want to do, and this is live. So what we want to do is all throughout the junior year, kind of understand what our major might be. And that is leading up into their senior year, where we kind of want to already know what we're thinking about majoring in. And then that kind of leads us into, so once we have the career path, we kind of have an understanding of what we want to be, what our students want to do or be as they get older. Now we have somewhat of an understanding of what majors might be ideal based on that career path. Then that leads us into the next step, which is selecting the right college, right? Number 5, as you see here, selecting the right college. Now, there's a lot that goes into the college selection. And I tell every family, we want to find the right school for the right reasons and at the right price, right? Right school, right reasons at the right price. Now, once we have a good understanding of our major based on our career path, then we kind of take that to, that again, September or so of our junior year, we start to kind of build our college list. And then it becomes, more crucial going into our senior year, right? More crucial. And building the right list and selecting the right colleges, there's a lot that can go into that, and I can do a whole hour video just on school selection, college selection. But a couple of things that I'll add right here in this particular video is, as your student builds their list, what you want to do is think of a few different things, right? Your deal breakers, and then your kind of your your preferences, right? So we prefer this type of campus. Our student prefers this type of school, but these are the deal breakers. These are like the non-negotiables. Deal breakers would be maybe budget. Budget is something that if that's important to you, they add that to the list. Maybe the type of college, private versus public. Some students will thrive more in a large campus setting. Some thrive better in a smaller campus, smaller classroom setting. That could be a deal breaker. When it comes to location of the school, maybe we don't want our student to live, across the country. Maybe we want them to be more, closer, centralized to where we're located. So think of your deal breakers and then begin building your process based on those deal breakers. Now, in addition to the preferences and or deal breakers, some of the non-negotiables, a few other things are going to be things such as let me position it this way. A lot of students identify schools based on familiarity, right? Brand awareness. Maybe they have always liked that college for whatever reason. Maybe they rooted for that college, the college's sports, team. Maybe the basketball team, the football team, baseball, soccer, whatever that might be. And that's all fine, right? That's totally, totally cool. If I'm a fan of this particular school, there's an emotional connection. But in addition to that, we want to identify schools that that will want our student, right? Based on our student's career path, based on what they want to major in, as we talked about in the last couple of things, and then based on who our student is, right? Their academic level, their accomplishments. We want our student to be well received at a specific college. Now, just because our student may want to attend that school over there doesn't mean that that school is going to want our kid. And this is going to change, I would say, year in and year out. Every year, there's a different applicant pool, right? So one thing we can say is 1 year, you're one student. If you have multiple students in your household, they got accepted to this particular college. And then a couple of years later, the applicant pool changes. Maybe it's more competitive. Maybe, your younger student has a little bit more of a challenge getting into that college. And maybe that can be the other way around. One student may have applied, they did not get accepted, but it doesn't mean your second or your younger student is going to have the same outcome. But we want to add schools to our list where our student has a great chance of not only being accepted, but might even be able to get certain scholarships based on what that school may offer. Maybe you want to add schools to the list that only provide scholarships or tuition discounts. So when you're building the list, you're going to definitely begin, years prior, begin with the end in mind. What is our career path? What type of majors would help us, fulfill or get to that specific career path, because a career path actually starts in college. And then, what are some of the schools to kind of meet those needs? So figure out your needs as a family, our budget, our preference, when it comes to location, our preference when it comes to campus size, type of campus, religious, maybe non-religious, whatever that might be that is important to your family. And then who's going to want my kid? Where's my kid going to be in demand? Where the college is willing to, fight and put forth money and opportunity that will help us make this decision easier, right? We want to add schools to our list that will check those boxes. So the school selection, remember, we want to find the right social fit for our student, the right learning environment, academic fit for our student. And we also want to find the right financial fit for our student and our family. Social fit, we want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy their time while they're there. It's going to be their next, ideally their next place to live for 4 to maybe 6 years. And then we want it to be an academic fit. Is our student going to be well received academically? Are they going to do well academically? Is this going to be, the right fit for them, their learning style and ability academically? And then lastly, financials, or reverse that if you want, depending on your situation, maybe financials first and foremost. But is it going to be a financial fit for our family based on what we're comfortable doing? Whether you're comfortable taking out loans, you're going to find nothing but scholarships, you have the cash flow, whatever your situation is. But this is kind of how we start building that list based on those parameters. And now we have a well-rounded, well-balanced list, and it keeps our student I would say, our family and our student in general in the driver's seat. So this is something that we want to make sure we focus on as early as September, right, of the students' maybe junior year, right, going into September if you haven't already done it, and up until their maybe August of their senior year, selecting the right college. Now the list you start building maybe junior year, you finalize it as you go through their senior year, maybe first semester when application deadlines are going to become due. Okay, so and then lastly is number 6 right here. We got student positioning. Okay, so let me erase some of the stuff right here. Student positioning is where we want to focus on making our student marketable, making and this is the application process where the student is going to have the ability to start putting together their application, their essays, maybe making the student idea. But when you hear student positioning, we want to market the student the right way to specific colleges. You want to market your student the right way to specific universities. What one university might be looking for, another university may not. So once we have a good understanding of the schools that we're going to be considering based on our major and our career path, now we want to figure out how to position the student to be more desirable at those specific universities, demonstrating interest, strong essay and application based on a compelling personal story. Who is the student? So this is where who the student is becomes, I would say, very important, and sometimes more important than what they've done, right? Depending on the university. So some universities are looking for the right student in addition to what that student may have done, but both can be very important. But positioning the student with their extracurricular activities, their off-campus experiences, their family makeup, who they are, their philosophies, their beliefs, what they want to accomplish in the world, all of that added into the pot makes the student who the student is and what a specific college might be looking for. So these 3 things, I'll say 4 things, because we talked about the career path, number 1. We talked about determining the major, number 2. Going into selecting the right college and list building, number 3. And lastly, we're talking about today student positioning. And again, all these things take place between about the last 2 from September to about August, September of the student's junior year to about August of the student's senior year. Okay, August going into their senior year. So rising junior to rising senior, if that makes sense. Rising junior to rising senior. So September going into their junior and up to August going into their senior year. Sorry if there's any confusion, any miscommunication, but I wanted to clarify that for you. Excuse me. So that's the time frame where we want to get a lot of this done. So I know what I said, and maybe the way I communicated it could be a little confusing. But if you have any questions, if it's not clear to you, or you have any questions about your specific student, your situation, whether it be about the student positioning, the list building, or determining a major, even a career path, please let me know. Or questions about anything that we've gone over up to this point, SAT prep, the financials, the EFC or SAI analysis, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can comment in this particular video, or you can email us info@agradeabovecp.com. And these are things that we typically do for our families, our students, every day, every year, for sure. So if you have any questions or concerns, the idea was to give you a bit of a understanding of the timeline, the process. But if you need more information based on your situation, please do not hesitate to reach out. Also, do me a favor, if this video was of value to you at all, please do not hesitate to like it or to subscribe to our channel, and be on the lookout for the next video, part 4 in this particular series, where we go into a little bit more about what the students should be doing beyond maybe their senior year, or during their senior year, beyond their junior year, going into that senior year as a rising senior. But thank you much for watching. Thank you for checking us out. And if you got questions, we got answers. We'll see you and talk with you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.